Good morning and welcome to follow Finland's Business Transfer Week. First, our apologies. We had a little technical issues in this morning. It was our internet connection that didn't work properly, and that's why we are a little bit late. But we are here now, and I'm welcoming you to follow our Finland's Business Transfer Week. In this week, there will be 24 events taking place all around Finland, and they are offering information and services and support about business transfers for buyers, sellers, business transfer experts, policymakers, etc. Today we are focusing international dimensions of business transfers. My name is Anneli Komi. I am a manager of business transfer operations. I work for Federation of Finnish Enterprises. At the moment, I'm here in our studio with my colleague Meri Remes. Would you like to introduce yourself, Meri?
Maybe. First of all, thank you for joining us today. As said, my name is Meri Remes. I work for the Central Union of Agriculture Producers and Forest Owners. And coming from that background, the agricultural sort of context, it has been my pleasure to widen my perspectives on business transfers, acquisitions, and generational renewals. These words are pretty hard from a Finnish mouth.
Yeah.
Through this business transfer forum. And recently within the forum, I acquired the role of being one of the chairs of the groups within. And namely that group was then the one focusing on international questions.
Yeah, and luckily for me, she's working pretty closely with me in this business transfer forum.
For me, yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, today we will talk about business transfers in Europe. We will have some questions coming in remotely, one from Belgium and another one from Ireland. And yeah, what's happening today, Meri?
Don't know. No, to be honest, the thing is that we might plan, but I hope we will also be surprised by the end content through the day. But what we have thought might happen today is in a few minutes we will have a sort of a pan-European perspective on business transfers and services, and have a chat with the Secretary General of Transeo, namely Miss Marie Deplesmaker. Yes. I hope she will give us how to pronunciate the name throughout her conversation with them. And after that we jump over to Land Mobility Service, which is an Irish service, which is providing opportunities for those maybe not seeing them. And I think that's quite exciting perspective to get to know a little bit more about. So he's widening our perspective on what is a business transfer service, but at the same time, who can be the clients of such a service. And there's also an interesting parallel within the ETA model, which is the entrepreneurship through acquisition, also a mouthful to say, model that we will get to know a little bit more in the panel. So I think it's quite interesting throughout the day to look at what are the services provided, who is providing them, and how are they maybe having the potential to be game changers within this renewal of the businesses or change or growth even.
Yeah, we hope we can learn a lot today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward for those presentations that comes from abroad, and also this panel discussion that follows them. We will get 3 different experts coming here to our studio and sharing their ideas and their expertise about business transfers in Europe and international. They give us international view. They come from private-owned companies here from Finland, and that's their job actually, what they're doing in everyday life, that they help SMEs to go abroad.
But before we go into all of that, let's have a little bit of a perspective on what is done within the Business Transfer Week or Forum. Yes. Go ahead, Anneli.
Thank you. I will start by telling you just shortly about Business Transfer Forum, Finland's Business Transfer Forum. Let's see if our clicker would work. I would get my presentation just a moment. But I am a business, I can tell you something before, while we are waiting to get our slides. But yes, I'm a manager of business transfer operations and I'm running this project called Business Transfer Forum. And Business Transfer Forum has been established since 2013, so it's been working on already 10 years. Myself, I started there beginning of this summer. But I was working before that. Before that, I was also working for Federation of Finnish Enterprises, and I was in other projects, also business transfer projects. So let's take a look what it is. First, I start by telling you some facts about our company's intentions. What are they thinking now? How are they seeing this business transfer process and this phenomenon, and what are their ideas and thoughts and wishes? What we know about. We have total amount of companies in Finland, about 300,000. And we know that 1/3 of all companies believe to start business transfer project within next 5 years. That's something that our research tells us. We know that we have about 74,000 entrepreneurs in Finland who are 55 years old or older. And every year 5,000 of them are seeking for a buyer. If we take a look at the rural areas, we know that 30% of companies located in rural areas are looking for a buyer right now. And if we take a look at those companies who have employees, we know that 14,000 employer companies are looking for buyers at the moment. And in those companies, there are about 90,000 employees. There is quite huge amount of solo entrepreneurs in Finland, and when we ask them about their intentions of business transfers, they say that 41% of them shows interest to start business transfer project within next 2 years. So that's how it is here. Then some background information about Business Transfer Forum. In summer 2013, Federation of Finnish Enterprises started this project. So 10 years ago, it was funded mainly by Ministry of Economy Affairs and Employment. And then, mainly about foundation. That's the name of the foundation, Yksityisyrittäjien säätiö. That's Finnish name of it. Mainly by that foundation, it was funded, and partial by Ministry of Economy Affairs and Employment of Finland, and then Federation of Finnish Enterprises. So that first project ended at the end of 2017. It continued. 2018, Finland's state budget said that the government decided to promote business transfers by assigning 400,000 euros in project work in that year. And those actions, what project did, should target sellers, incumbents, buyers, successors, experts, financiers and public operators. Successful business transfer plays a key role in securing growth, jobs and tax revenue. So that's what was discovered after the first long project. Government and everyone else realized how important it is that we support and develop business transfers of SMEs. And since then, this project has been funded year after year, and is now the current funding is until the end of March 2024. So let's take a look shortly then that what do we do and what is Business Transfer Forum actually at the moment. It consists of 23 different organizations, and we all together develop business transfer ecosystem in Finland. Today this is partially funded by Ministry of Economy Affairs and Employment. They are the biggest funder, biggest one who is funding this, and then partial by all those member organizations. You can see the logos of those members over there. in this slide. This project is now, the operative manager comes from Federation of Finnish Enterprises, and that's me. And then chairman of the board comes from Confederation of Finnish Industries. And then there is also steering group for this project. And that steering group consists of all those 23 organizations. And they are guiding this project. Let's see, how much do I have time left? I'm telling very shortly of what we do, but I'm happy to provide more information for you after this presentation and this broadcast today. So what do we do then here? We support SMEs growth by speeding up SMEs business transfers. We want to change the culture of restartup and business transfers. We know that at the moment, I believe it's like this in other countries as well, that entrepreneurs don't say it out loud quite often that they are about to sell their company, they are about to step into the business transfer process. They like to do it, they like to hide it a little bit, and it's commonly known that they are afraid that customers run out and employees might scare this strategy. But we want everyone to think differently. We want them to think that restartup and business transfer is normal activity of normal business. It belongs to normal business activities, and it's normal. It's normal that you buy companies. It's normal that you sell companies. We know it's not like that at the moment, but this is that we want to change here. How do we change it? Well, we do lots of awareness awakening and awareness raising what business transfer is. We write articles and blogs and give interviews and do events, 1 week lasting events like this one, etc. Then we would like to strengthen cooperation between forum members. We have experts from financing, experts from public organizations, experts of, all those member organizations come from, different background, and they have different way of looking business transfer process. So when we put them together and try to strengthen their cooperation, something new probably comes out. Then if I have to choose one of the most important things that should be done and needs to be done is the researches. Because when we are having discussions with our policymakers and decision makers, we need to give them arguments that are based on facts. So we need lots of researches. Some researches we order by ourselves, and some researches we just try our member organizations to put questions of business transfers to their surveys and to their researches. So that's probably the most important thing. We are politically active. We meet lots of decision makers, and we try to make them understand how important it is to support business transfers of SMEs. We have 18 different regions in Finland, and all those regions have their own decision-making systems. So they also have their own business transfer projects and business transfer experts. And what we want to do is to coordinate them. We want, if someone in the Lapland, for example, discovers some good tool how to develop business transfer, we want that everyone, all regions in Finland, finds that out too. So we want them to discuss between each other, and we want that they are exchanging their good practices and good tools. We are kind of a coordinator in between that. And we want to develop our international business transfer operations and coordination. What do we say when we meet those policymakers or decision makers, and what are our arguments why business transfer is important. We have discovered that it actually creates growth. So who wouldn't want growth in economic? And that's one thing how we can do it and we can support it is by supporting business transfers. This is the last salary to entrepreneur when they sell their company. We want to support that. We want to ensure continuity of companies, preserve or create jobs, and those next 2 bullet points are the most important. That smaller the municipality is, then more important these two are. So ensure continuity of tax collection and maintain or improve regional vitality. Also, we believe that it prevents wasting material and immaterial equity and skills when we support business transfers. And it creates competitive advance. Our goals then, we want to increase the number of growth-seeking and high-performing companies. We want to accelerate renewing of companies, increase numbers of successful SMEs, increase number of exporting SMEs. And we believe that when business transfers are, when we support and develop them, Finland's competitiveness and attractiveness are growing. We believe economic growth will improve, regional vitality remains, jobs will remain, tax revenue is secured, acquired expertise, skills and property are utilized, not wasted. And finally, I would like to say, for those of you who are following us from abroad at the moment, that we are very keen to change good practices and discuss more about this theme with you. Well, we want to learn from you, and if there's something that we can give to you, we are willing to do that as well. And we believe that if we help our companies internationalize by developing business transfer markets in Europe, is also benefit for Finland as well and to all our companies. If some of you who is listening us now is attempting participating SME assembly in Bilbao after a few weeks, please contact me because I'm there and I would really much like to see you and meet you and have more discussion, because the time was like this today, so I had just very little time and I could only tell you a few things about us, but I would like to continue. Thanks for listening and let's be in touch.
Thank you, Anneli. Maybe the next presentation will give us a little bit of, let's say, meat around the bones on your hypothesis about whether or not this whole culture of business transfers and discussing of them is a pan-European question, or if it's mainly let's not talk together in Finland type of situation. So we will hear maybe more about what is the business transfers within the pan-European perspective now that we get to have a chat next with Mrs. Marie Deplesmaker. I'm hoping if you're online that you will allow us to correct our pronunciation of your last name.
I actually met Marie just maybe a month ago. We were in Brussels and she came there and she gave us a presentation about Transeo. It was very interesting to hear how they are developing business transfers, not only in Europe, but I think, if I remember correctly, some of their members comes from other countries like Canada.
So you have third participants as well, because that has been one of the things that I've been wondering a little bit, that we have quite a strong European discussion and preference. Of course, we have the legislation that helps a little bit with that shared common ground. But then this makes it that much more interesting and that much more maybe difficult when you're dealing with already a very different legislational environments.
so many different countries, so many different cultures, and companies are different. We know how different they are in Finland, and yeah, it's not easy subject and it's not easy thing to develop.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get Mari just in a moment online. As said, today has not been the greatest day for technology for us, but it's not due to our excellent technological help. There is something with the online connections in the building itself. But
Yes,
I'm hoping very soon
connection.
we will be able to catch Marie with us. What was the main thing you took home from your trip to Brussels? Because mostly we tend to work in Finland, so it must have been quite eye-opening. What did you take with you?
I am interested of how our companies in Finland could benefit of this. How is it actually possible for SMEs to go abroad by buying a small company from abroad, and vice versa? And that's something that maybe I came back from Brussels but with too many questions.
But you weren't not disappointed in a sense. It's not, it doesn't seem impossible.
No,
because I think maybe quite often, if you think about it, you're a small business, you have to have big muscles to abroad, the risk is quite high. Maybe not, but there are facilitators for these processes. And today, we're actually going to have now I see the big grand scheme here behind everything. That's why we have today's panel discussion on the internationalization of businesses in Finland.
Yeah, and how is it in other countries, and what are the sizes of companies there, and are they similar, etc. And yeah, it seems that we don't have Mari there yet. Something's wrong probably with the internet connections still. We can have a little break here and try to connect her. What do you think?
We will see. We'll be holding on the line just for a little while longer because it seems that something is happening at the moment. We'd like to welcome Marie Deplesmaker from the Transeo, yes. A pan-European perspective on sort of business transfers. And maybe we'll have a confirmation on what's the type of culture that we're dealing with when it comes to a European level of this. Earlier today, Anneli was saying that the sort of business transfer culture and the culture of discussing your intentions is still sort of developing. There are barriers, there are things that we don't want to talk about, we're afraid of losing clients if you start preparing too early, all of these discussions. So it would be fantastic to hear a little bit more about what's your perspective on the culture of business transfers on a European level, but also the practicality of what are the services that you're actually providing when it comes to business transfers.
Hi Marie, nice to see you.
Hello Anneli, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, please. The floor is yours. Tell us a little bit about Transeo and you.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see and hear you very well.
Okay, so nice having you this morning about business transfer. I'm Marie, I'm based in Belgium. I'm the Secretary General of Transeo, the international community of experts in sales and acquisitions of SMEs. Today I will tell you about Transeo briefly, but what is more interesting is to talk about business transfer at European level and how we can advocate together for more successful business transfers. So about Transeo, actually we're a community. We were based we were created back 10 years ago, and now we gather more than 90 experts from all over Europe and beyond. We gather experts from the private sector, the institutional sector, and academic sector. And our main objective is to exchange good practices and to learn from one another to develop more sustainable business transfer frameworks and also to stimulate cross-border transactions. So either sell-side or buy-side opportunities, but I will tell you later about it. What we do. So what we do, we stimulate networking between our members who are experts, as I mentioned. So how do we do that? We organize events twice a year, our Transeo summits. We organize conferences, and we create exclusive networking opportunities for them. We always, as a second activity, stimulate deal making between our members. So our members, I was explaining, are either professionals, academia, or institutions institutions. And among our professional members, we have marketplaces and brokers, and they have sell side and buy side opportunities that can be eligible for cross border transactions, which is quite specific for and interesting for us, is that we are focusing on micro and small businesses. And for this segment of companies, it's quite difficult to go cross border. So we have a unique network of specialized M&A advisors who can support in cross-border transactions. Our last but not least activity is capacity building. So we want to provide our members with unique capacity building opportunities. So we organize training sessions about business transfer with the support of our academic experts. For example, we had Annelie Comi recently coming for a Transio Summit. We also have researchers from all over Europe. Most recently, we had a training about external growth from a Croatian academic member. So it's always interesting, even though you're already an expert, to still develop your skills and learn from other experts. So basically, that's what we do. A focus on our deal club. So the deal club is a unique way to exchange sell side and buy side opportunities for our members and to create opportunities for cross-border deals, which is quite difficult when you are an SME and you want to either buy a company outside your country or sell your company to a foreign buyer. You don't know where to start. And so with our deal club, we can organize this easily. So how does it work? We organize sessions online every month for our members. Again, I remind, probably we have entrepreneurs from Finland today in the room. Transio gathers only experts. So our experts are the ones working with the entrepreneurs. And so if you are a professional, you have clients, and so you have entrepreneurs willing to sell their business or to buy a business. And so the advantage of a deal club is to have total confidentiality for the entrepreneur. So you are going to give a mandate to the professional to go to the Transio Deal Club and to try to find suitable targets for you. So we have sessions online in Teams meetings, so every month, and we also have in-person meetings during our Transio summits. So basically, the advantage of this deal club is to have confidentiality and also trust, because all Transio Deal Club members have to respect a code of conduct. So it's a really a unique network, I would say, for transactions for SMEs. There are bigger networks, of course, for bigger transactions like family offices and also big M&A networks, but our network focuses on the micro segment. Our Transio Summit, so you can see a few pictures here. Twice a year, we organize a two-day event for our members, but also for non-members with unique conferences, with keynote speeches, and also networking opportunities. You can see here our a bit of a description of our summit. So basically, most of the time we have people from all over Europe, but also from Northern America as attendees. We create these opportunities of networking and deal making. There are great networking moments, but also social events and yes, great conferences on different topics of business transfer. You can have topics such as soft skills, soft aspects such as emotional management of business transfers, but also more technical topics such as valuation or financing schemes. We had the most recent editions in Paris and then in Charleroi, and now we've just had our summit in Valletta in Malta with our local host, who is a member of Transio, so the Malta Family Business Office, and it was actually a great success with 85 participants from, I think, 16 countries. So you can find all information about our summit on transio-summit.eu. You can find the pictures and also the presentations if you are interested. And stay tuned because we will have more summits next year. Again, it's open for our members, so they are experts. It's open for non-members, but also entrepreneurs can join, even though you have to be aware that the topics are more targeted to experts. Capacity building, I was telling you about our Transio Academy. So here you can see a picture of Christopher Kuri. Is a researcher from Germany, and he was the one in Munich last year to present a Transeo Academy session. And so he's an academic researcher, and we love to highlight the research. And I know in Finland you have tremendous research about business transfer. So here, just to show you what we do, we invite a researcher to share the theory, the results of a research with our community of experts. And then this is online. And then during a Transio Summit, we have a specific part of our program for our members where they work together on a case study linked to the theory. I think that's it about Transeo. And now I really wanted to explain what my position about the culture for business transfer in Europe. I've been working on business transfer for more than, I think, 10 or 15 years as Secretary General of Transeo. And so I wanted to share with you quickly my vision about advocacy. So advocacy, I mean, advocating for business transfer remains a challenge because unfortunately our decision makers have many topics to handle, to deal with, including recent crisis, Ukraine crisis, COVID-19 crisis, and so on. And we know that there are many SMEs that are suffering a lot. And so it's difficult to keep business transfer on top of political agenda because it's just maybe not such an urgent topic for them, or not so sexy like innovation or going green. Though it's really, really important to keep investing political attention, budgets in business transfer. So that's the role of Transeo, but also other European associations like SME United, European Family Businesses, European Business Angels Network, AECM. So AECM is the European Association of Mutual Guarantees, providing financing, like you have at Finvera in Finland, Business Europe, and so on. So we join to make sure our members and other experts in Finland and in Europe can benefit from our advocacy role. My suggestion, because I think that that's been more than 20 years European Commission is working on the topic. We still need to share the voice of our experts and to explain it's important. So we were discussing with Federation of Finnish Enterprises, which is really, really active. You have to know on business transfer. We have other members in Transeo who are pushing for business transfer at their national level. And so we could join forces and work on a common European position paper to remind EU decision maker, be it European Commission, European Parliament, European Economic and Social Committee, all the important institutions, we should remind them about our important messages. So we could share this position paper among them, but also during EU events. For example, each year I'm going to the SME Assembly. There was a recent one in Helsinki, which was great. And now we will go to Bilbao in a few weeks for this SME Assembly, which is a European Commission event. And so it's great to communicate and to repeat again and again that business transfer is an important topic. So we can also involve the SME voice. I'm not sure you're familiar with this role, but the European Commission has appointed SME voice in all European countries, and their role is to connect, I would say, the national level and the European level. So most of the time they are working in the Ministry of Economy, and their role is to follow up SME policy and to monitor the progress of the member states and to report that at European level to make sure to push for important topics. And I've been told that business transfer was recently discussed in the SME Invoice meetings. So it's really important to continue using also these SME Invoice who are doing a great job to work with us on supporting business transfers. Other possible actions, I was discussing with Annelie Komi and the team of Federation of Finnish Enterprises. To me, of course, we could have a barometer. We need data. Maybe it's not so clear for you, but I mean, if you don't you're not able to show the size of the phenomenon in Finland, but also all over Europe, that there are so many companies involved in a business transfer, or on the opposite, that if we don't do anything, that so many companies could just go bankrupt or close doors, and the employment, the jobs, the added value, the innovation, everything will be lost. So data is really, really important. So I know there are several countries, including Finland, which who are really doing a great job with the Senajoki, gathering data with the Finnish barometer. They are very active on that. We have data also in Belgium, in France, in Croatia. So we could, with the support of European institutions, gather data at European level and show that the phenomenon is huge to our European decision makers. A great also initiative I love in Finland is the Business Transfer Forum. It's quite simple. You gather around it the main stakeholders active on business transfer from the political side, but also from the private sector, the public sector, the associations. And you just take a look at the policy, at the situation, the framework, and you try to improve it during the year. We could do that, of course, in each European country based, for example, on the Finnish model, but we could also gather all these representatives of the national forums at European level and have, for example, once a year or twice a year, a meeting to discuss important questions such as data, such as what is efficient to raise awareness, to discuss business transfer, but also, last but not least, to organize maybe a European Business Transfer Week. So that would be like a dream for Transeo, but we are a small team. We have a great community of experts. We have many members. So I'm sure it can be possible. And again, we have members already organizing this Business Transfer Week, like Finland this week. I'm very happy to be a speaker during this week. And so we have, maybe you don't know, but also there are Business Transfer Weeks in other countries of Europe, including Belgium, where I am from. And so this Business Transfer Week is a unique opportunity to raise awareness among entrepreneurs, but also among media and among stakeholders such as chambers of commerce, such as banks, such as all the people working on business transfer. So I'm sure it's a great concept and we can further develop it at European level. It's a unique opportunity again to raise awareness, but also to push for the topic and to convince also our policymakers that it's so important. So to me, these are three basic things we could do. But of course, we don't wait for these things to happen in Transeo. We work all year long to improve the frameworks of our members, to exchange good practices and make sure entrepreneurs have access to the most efficient support services and information about business transfer. So I think that's it. And you have my contact details here. So I would be happy to answer all your questions. I really congratulate my Finnish members on this great initiative, Federation of Finnish Enterprise. I think Finnish entrepreneurs are in good hands with the Federation, and I would be happy to discuss and answer possible questions. I hope you liked my presentation. It was clear. You find all information about Transeo on transeo-association.eu. You find information about the summit on transeo-summit.eu. And again, feel free to contact me and I will be happy to exchange with you. Thank you again, Annelie, for the invitation.
Thank you, Marie. That was very interesting presentation and lots of answers actually already you gave what we were thinking that we would like to ask you, but still I have few questions and I believe Mary also has some. First, you mentioned that it's very difficult for SMEs to go cross-border and they need experts for that. How can they get help? You mentioned your network as well, but if there is some SME, some company from Finland now following us, what would you say to them? What's the first step? Do they contact Transeo or some of your member?
Thank you for the question. So that's a great question. I would say there are two possibilities. either that's a company, so a business owner who wants to sell the business and is not sure whether would like to sell the business to a Finnish company or to a foreign company. The other possibility is a Finnish company willing to grow. So grow by export, grow by internal growth, but also by acquisition. The first thing to do is to check on Trenzio website the list of our Finnish members and to go there, because it's not the one organizing the interactions, but you have to go through an expert. That's really our message. Don't try to do it alone. It's such, I won't say difficult, but it's a challenge, and you already have your daily business to manage. So go and see a business transfer advisor. I think you have great business transfer advisors in Finland. You have also an association to make sure they're experts, they have codes of conduct, so go there. You can have a Transio member from Finland, of course, but there are other experts in Finland, and then start the discussion with them. They will
Thank
be the
you.
one also to chase for the opportunities for you, depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah, thanks. That was great answer, Marie. One more question. You mentioned that developing that you've been there for 10 years already, repeating the importance of business transfers again and again and again. But what has changed in past 10 years? Can you say a few things? What do you think?
I would say what has changed, a new trend is to connect the business transfer policy topic with other topics. That's really
Okay.
unique. And I would say, for example, to give you an example, if a new generation is taking over the business, it's easier to implement innovation, for example, circular economy, and it's a great opportunity to create connections between the different policy areas. And it's a simple answer to the problem of innovating and going green and so on. That's having a new owner for the business and, having a successful transfer and acquisition. I would say maybe that's a new trend I see.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I'm still looking for my answer on what is the sort of discussion culture around, because you are an organization for organizations. So you must be having a fantastic overview on what is the sort of culture of business transfers. So what is your sort of gut feeling on
Gut feeling
on sort of what are the barriers or the main issues, but as well sort of looking at the human side of business transfers. Do you think that there is a reluctance to say that, well, it might be my time to stay back and give this over to someone else? Or is that something that is already more a part of the sort of normal discussions on what is it to have a business and looking at it as a time frame? You start here, you get there, and then it's time to move on. Is that sort of becoming normal?
I think it's becoming more and more normal, but unfortunately, you still have to raise awareness because it's a highly emotional challenge for the entrepreneur. So it's not, I'm not judging, but it's like it's linked to dying. So if you leave your business, what will be my role in the future? I will be useless. Maybe I'm going to die soon. And so it's really, really emotional. And so despite the efforts of decision makers in Finland and all over Europe, we still need to raise awareness and to provide support and not put pressure on the entrepreneur, but just give the information, okay, one day when you feel ready, there are tools available, there are experts available to help you transfer the business, and just keep cool and do it in good conditions. So to answer your question about culture, I think it's no longer taboo. It becomes a normal management act, I would say, but because it's so linked to emotions and to psychology, we still need to help entrepreneurs.
Yes.
An excellent answer to a fairly difficult question, but my hypothesis has always been that it's a little bit more specific to SMEs because it's such a small community where you're working, and you might personally be working with basically building your company and doing everything with it. So your emotional attachment, and how are you going to define yourself after you have transitioned?
One of the biggest
Who are you going to be if you're not a business owner or entrepreneur, or maybe
Exactly.
finding
And
a
I
new
think
something?
you have good advisors at the Federation of Finnish Enterprises. I'm sure Annelie and his team, you can go to her in total confidentiality, but also other experts, and maybe start a discussion about the future. maybe not about transferring the business directly because it's too hard maybe to consider, but what will be the continuity of my business? And maybe, you know, the pressure is going down a bit, and you can talk about just the management of your company and maybe the future. So it's easier maybe to start the discussion indeed.
We actually have two different models of stepping back but not quite giving over that we're going to discuss a little later today. So I think that's a really good prelude to those two things as well. But yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Marie. We are running out of time, and I believe our next speaker is there already online waiting. But one last thing I want to say, that I really very much liked your next steps. You mentioned that you would like to do. And I agree, and we both agree that that's something that we can do together, that collect all the experts from all different countries together, and let's see what happens then. And yeah, cooperation is something that we want to develop as well. And I as you I don't know if you saw my presentation, but I also had Business Transfer Week 2025 in European level there, so that's
Great.
something concrete.
No, I didn't see it, but I'm sure we can work concretely on the first steps, because we have several members like Federation of Finnish Enterprises in other countries who are motivated to support this project. So I'm sure we
That's
can
great.
find a way.
I'm really happy you
Thank you
joined
for
us
the
today.
great organization.
Thank you.
And I wish Finnish entrepreneurs success in their business transfer project. And you are in good hands in Finland. You have a great ecosystem, great experts. And the occasion to have this week is also great. You can ask your questions and maybe start a reflection about the transfer. So thank you again for having me as a speaker.
It
And
was our
cheers
pleasure.
from Belgium.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Greetings
Thank
back
you.
to Belgium. Thank you, Marie. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, do we have our next guest online? Austin Finn, can you hear us?
Yes.
Excellent.
Hello, Austin, and welcome.
So we are quite happily surprised, because there have been a little bit of glitches today. To actually have you there in person makes us that happy. But okay, we'll get on with the program and start talking a little bit more about the land mobility service.
Yeah.
If you're joining us first now, my name is Meri Remes, and it's my privilege to work with farmers here in Finland. And today we are finally,
Yeah, I want to just hi from my side as well. My name is Anneli Komi, and I'm really happy you are here as well. I am a business manager of business transfer operations, and I work on Federation of Finnish Enterprises. So I give floor to Meri now, and you two can continue chatting. And
thank you.
yes.
As you can see, I'm quite keen on the topic. This is fantastic for me, the opportunity to talk a little bit more about land mobility service. The reason why we are so excited about this is that in the context of agricultural business transfers, there are shared issues such as access to land, capital, opportunities, labor, you name it. And there's one service provider that keeps popping up, the land mobility service from Ireland. And it seems that this service is providing something that is eluding us. My hypothesis is that by merging two kind of traditionally different services, which the other one is more maybe related to the generational renewals and the other one to business transfers, and creating additional alternatives and opportunities, opening up the client base, also something fundamental is happening in the facilitation of the process. It changes us how we are perceiving this. I see this as giving the owners alternatives and hope, where otherwise there might just be a slow decline or even a rapid decline. And I have about maybe 100 questions about the service that is being provided here, such as how is the client defined in a situations like this? Who pays for what? What is the role of the facilitator? How long do you follow these emerging or existing businesses? How do you define then your service? Because somehow it has to be maybe limited as well. How are you sure that there would be young people wanting to come into the business, or maybe second career opportunities for others? Anyways, how did you find these? How did the service itself emerge, and how did you define your roles? What are the key success factors, and what are the non-agriculture specific take-homes from the service, and what could be applicable to any kind of business transfers, because it's not just the agricultural sector that sometimes has been struggling with finding someone to take over the business. But luckily, we have Austin Finn here online, the program leader, and together we are going to have a discussion looking at the service, and we might have some answers to our questions. But first, before we actually allow Austin the floor, let's start where the results are. There are 2 testimonials that we're going to see, a video from the Land Mobility Service from your actual clients, and within it there's a little bit of an introduction to the service. Could I please have the video? Thank you.
I finished college in 1995 and I never wanted to farm full-time. I always wanted to keep a job off the farm. So I farmed here in conjunction with my father for the following 20 years. And my father was able to help me out on the farm and the two of us worked together. But just in the last couple of years, this is the pressures of farming and part-time as well. It just was too much on the farm, so I decided that I needed to make a change. I came in contact with the Land Mobility Service because I saw details of the work they were doing through the Farmers Journal. I also attended Teagasc farm partnership meeting, and they gave details about farm partnerships, leasings and other alternatives for people that maybe didn't have a successor in line at that time. We did a meeting with the Land Mobility Service in March 2021, and I met with Pat Braid, who's the local representative for them. So an ad was placed in the Farmers Journal in April 2021, and out of that ad we got 10 people who were interested in coming on board with us or wanted to have a look at the farm. Each of those 10 people did a proposal. Myself and Pat sat down and we looked through it. Out of the 10 people, we selected 3 people, and those 3 people did even more detailed plans and went through the finer details, and I met with them more often with the whole idea of trying to find what sort of personality they had, how I would get on with them and how we could see about working together. So Chris came on board in November 2021. The Land Mobility Service have been very, very helpful for me for the last 3 years. I found their service invaluable in that it's very important that there's somebody there that knows how to handle the situation, and it's also somebody that has got the proper contacts and can kind of advise you on the financial, maybe the physical, maybe the legal ramifications of going down that route. So it's very important that somebody would get help. So I would highly recommend that people deal with the Land Mobility Service.
The thing that really inspired me to get into dairy farming, we grew up without direct access to a farm. There was a farm on both sides of the family. I done a degree in agriculture in UCD to kind of expand my knowledge of the dairy business. Also worked in industry for a number of years. The big thing was competition around leasing a farm of that scale, and also unrealistic prices in the last number of years. Land rental prices has really been driven up. My initial contact with the Land Mobility Service came about through an open day they had on the farm of Shinnock Estates, which was facilitated by Austin Finn. I got chatting to Austin, and between talking to him that day and subsequent conversations with Paddy Brady, over the last number of years, Paddy has kept me informed of opportunities that were arising in the locality. He informed me of the farm here when it became available, and I've always found the assistance I've got from him and Austin to be invaluable. We've also applied for a grant through the partnership for a new cattle shed, and Paddy's clarification as to the best route for us in terms of drawing down a grant was also a great help. We're going to continue to reseed going forward the rest of the farm, and again all of that will be including clover. We have implemented a lot of capital investment this year. We've invested in a drafting system, a new shed, 80 additional cows. We invested in a parlour, and we invested in a calf shed. We have a small bit of roadways to go in and a bit of fencing to finish, and that's what I'd like to see done on the farm in the next 5 years.
Maybe it is that I love agriculture, but every time I see this video, I'm so impressed by actually the approach of the people and the services that you are being providing here. But without further discussion and preparations for this discussion, let's give you the floor and see a little bit about how would you like us to see the Land Mobility Service. Go ahead, Austin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. Thanks very much for inviting me to this. I think it's great to have the opportunity to explain our service. And as you say, that video explains an awful lot and shows the sort of the two generationals and the way the matching has been done. So just yeah, slide us up. The Ireland Land Mobility Service was established in 2015 by Mocran of Verma, which is the young farmer organisation in Ireland, and it wasn't by themselves. It was with industry support and government support at the time. And the background to it, or the genesis to it, was a 2012 study on land mobility and succession in Ireland. This was a study done by the farm organisations. I think UCD were involved, some of the universities were involved. And it just was looking at the whole thing of, there was stagnation, a certain amount of stagnation at the time. And two key findings were that 26% of farmers were over the age of 65, but probably more importantly is that 48% of full-time farmers had no identified farming successor. And I think that was the first time that was sort of highlighted and out there. And these were full-time, like the amount of lack of farming successors that existed in the system. So people just didn't have options. The traditional support system in Ireland was sort of based on the thing, parents were farming, a son or daughter was nominated from the age of 12 or 13, and they became the farmer, and the training and the schemes and all were geared to that. But as Ireland has developed over the years, that is no longer the case. And that's what we're finding, and that's the big cohort. There's definitely about half of profitable, workable farms out there, and there are successors there, but there aren't farming successors. And this is where the Land Mobility Service probably has come in, because we're looking at things slightly different than what was sort of the traditional family succession plan. The family succession plan needs some support, but doesn't need the same level of support, because it tends to happen naturally. Where in this situation, the owners are faced with, I've no options. None of my family or kids want to go farming. They're all interested in the asset. What do I do? And as the previous speaker, it can lead to lack of decisions, stagnation, lack of investment on the farm, and people just getting into a sort of a status quo, fixed, nothing happens. So I just lead on. So basically, after listening to this, you'll have an idea of what the service does and how we are making a difference. So the service we provide, so that's the key part of it is, and this has been the driver all along, it's options for landowners. And it's the availability of landowners, because in that slide, that it was the landowner that came to us initially. If the landowners don't present the opportunities, we don't have an opportunity for that young person or that existing farmer. So providing options for landowners that are outside the normal, so, and that's why, and everything, most of our models are bespoke. What works on one farm won't work on another farm, so we have to build the thing. And then the flip side of that is opportunities for young farmers. And it's about facilitating arrangements. Our focus, we're a sort of a unique service in that, like, we use the word honest broker. We don't represent either side as such. We're trying to represent the farm and what's going to work for the farm. And if it works for the farm, then it will work for both the owners and the person and the collaborator coming in. So it's all about sustainable arrangements with a win-win mentality, because if one person is making a serious margin out and the other person is getting nothing, it's going to break down anyway. So it's not driven by market forces. It's driven what can work by the farm, what do the budgets, and you can see from the testimonial where they've done investment jointly and things like that, and we've assisted all that. Like, so all that is completely different to what the traditional thing. Over the years, like, we have very good resources within my own background. I have a degree in agriculture and I'm a chartered accountant. My colleagues, then we have some legal support in the thing, and they're all from farming backgrounds and farming training. It's a lot of expertise. Confidentiality is key. Most of these things, like, this is all very private, so confidentiality, like, obviously information is shared when identified people are coming up, but in general, everything is kept as confidential for as long as possible. And it's very much a generation renewal aid. We're providing information at the very least, matching ideally, and templates and new models. And it is what the term additionality here in Ireland, when we talk to the department, to say, yes, the Land Mobility Service is doing something that other people are not doing. So this is why they're happy to help us. where there's no farming successor, where there's a good young farmer has no land, or where there's a lovely team of farmers but they don't have enough land or enough resources for viability, and we come in to help there. So the process then is, it starts with inquiries. We get our inquiries from referrals from previous people who have worked, from people looking at these, attendance, workshops, seminars, talks. The Farmers Journal, which is the sort of the main and printed farming media in Ireland, they have a half a page on us every week. So that's continually giving you information. Generally, government agencies and advisors refer people to us, and we've also linked in very strongly from day one with the industry, particularly the co-ops, dairy and beef co-ops, and they pass our information on to farmers. So that has been very important. So once we get an inquiry, sometimes just a bit of information and the fact that they know we're there and might be available to help, they can park that, or they would say, no, I want to make the next step, and then it moves from an inquiry to an engagement. So engagements is where we start really working with people and say, right, can we find what's going to work for this farm? Or you're a young farmer, what type of opportunity is going to work for you? Where do you want to be? Are you prepared to travel to a different part of the country? What sort of enterprise are you into? And we start building repertoires for those people, making plans for the farm and starting to match up things. And then it leads into sustainable options and arrangements. And our focus is very much land use rather than ownership. Land ownership in Ireland is a very sensitive issue. So if people feel someone's going to take the land from them, so it's nothing to do with that. It's all about the use of the land. But at the same time, the arrangements have to be for good periods to make it worthwhile. So typically, if it's a lease, it's 15 or even 20 years. If they're shared arrangement, both parties are sharing the land and things like that. It's, as again, our facilitation leads to a win-win. We make sure that the non-farming successors within the family members are all involved in the process. The owners, some owners will step back completely. Others, and this previous speaker referred to this, other owners want to stay involved, and that's very important. And to be able to do that in a structured way that doesn't infringe on the ability of maybe the young person to be able to farm. So it's getting the sort of, it's all about the people skills and, defining what that level of involvement is. Like there's involvement and there's interference. So it's to avoid the interference, but yet have the owners involved. And it works very well when it's done right. And then we have, like, there's tax and there's EU schemes and payment schemes, and there's work in the tax. And we have a good bit of expertise, particularly for myself, because of an accountancy background. We make sure that everything is set up in a very tax efficient manner. And in fairness to our own government, back in 15, 16 and 7, and even since they've maintained, they brought in extra tax reliefs to help these sort of things. So there was tax reliefs brought in for leasing. They made sure that any of these arrangements wouldn't restrict any inheritance tax reliefs that were already there in the system. So in fairness, the government have been very positive in making sure that there's no obstacles and in fact help to it. And then there are supports within the schemes, and we'll refer to that later, because unfortunately some of the schemes support and some of the schemes by accident might hold up land, because if someone, say if an older farmer decides to go into some of the environmental schemes, which are great schemes, but the nature, they might lock up the land for a period of 5 years. And we've looked for sort of ways to say, if halfway through the 5 years the owner wanted to step back and engage with some, that there could be a way of adjusting the scheme to facilitate that. And in fairness to the government, they're trying to work things like that. And then within the arrangements then, and most importantly, we're there for ongoing support. Like obviously the setting up and the first year is very important that we're there, but we're still there 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Like, so we have arrangements that were set up in 15, 16, 17, now heading towards 10 years. And we're still, like, not every year, but we would be involved in a 3 or a 5 year review. And some of them we do a review with them every year to make sure things are going to plan. So on the engagement side, as I said, that was the critical. So this has been the sort of the mix from day one. So we, on average, we end up with 100 odd arrangements a year and maybe 300 to 400 engagements. So that's people who are really working closely with the service in any particular year. And of those, about 40%, and just short of half, are landowners looking to step back, that don't have the obvious options, that there isn't a clear path within the family, or there's lack of viability, or whatever reason, they need something beyond what's the traditional. And then on the other side, we have the new entrant or young farmer looking to get going, and then we have existing farmers who are looking to expand out. A lot of the existing farmers are still young farmers, but they're already established. I suppose it's the category of that young farmer, that 26%. That's the area we're always wanting to target, because we want more of those, because and they are probably, that is the group that finds the hardest to get going. The existing farmer who's already established, he has a track record with the bank and with the industry and things like that, so it's easier for him to get finance and get him or her to get finance and get things. But the new entrant is probably the person that needs the most support, and that would be the group we're always focused on. And I suppose that goes back to our mandate. We were set up by Macron Firma, which is the young person's farm organisation, so it's helping that. So roughly half of our engagements are landowners looking to step back, and the other half then are farmers looking to take on or expand. So what have been, since we've started, what have been the success and the threats and all that, and why has the service? So first of all, since we started, like when we started first, the common thing was often said, oh, you'll have no problem getting young people and people looking for land, but you won't get the landowners to engage. They'll just want to keep going. And in fact, it's not necessarily been the opposite. We've had engagement from landowners from day one. So actually, there is a need and demand. Like, it was sort of, when we started, it was an expression of relief to say, that's who I need to talk to. They're people who are looking at my farm the way I need to look at it, because I don't have the natural options. So the demand has been there, and that's been there consistently. As the age profile, it might go up and down with changes in schemes or margins and things like that, but consistently every year we have new landowners coming to us, typically families with the farmers in their late 50s, 60s, and beyond. And in many respects, they're better coming to us earlier rather than later, because they can plan. Like, I have one farmer I'm working with now at the moment. He's 60 next birthday, and he wants to be fully retired by the time he's 64. So it makes perfect sense. And we're starting now the process with him, what will work for him, and trying to find the young person that might come along with him. And now the great success has been the industry and government support. I've already referred to that. The fact that we're independent and expert, and we don't work for a party as such. So the landowner isn't our client. We're not out to try and get the best deal possible for the landowner. We're trying to get the best sustainable scenario for the farm. We're looking at options where the traditional routes don't work or don't apply. Succession trade, we have attracted a lot of young people to the industry. There's some great young people. I suppose if we don't keep finding opportunities, those young people get lost very quick, we find. I suppose the ideal age for the young person coming into anything is sort of probably between 25 and 32. We find once they go beyond 32, they're nearly sort of become too settled. They're settled down with a partner, things, and they're not as mobile to go to different parts of the country. Or if they start getting into a permit, they might get used to the salary at the end of every month. Like, where farming is a business, you have good years, you have bad years. So it's attracting and keeping those young people. I've referred to the schemes and the support. Some of the tax supports have been excellent. Some of the schemes are double-edged because of these clauses that are sometimes in them. If a farm is within a scheme, then it's tied to that scheme for the period of a cap, which can be 5 or 7 years, which can make, I can't do anything until I'm finished with the scheme, and just opportunities get lost. The biggest thing, and I think Mary referred to, like, how do people get, like, the engagement and facilitation is very time consuming. You could imagine there is an awful lot of work goes into these. Like, we go through the farm with the owners. What are the options? What can work? And there is a range of options. Like, it can be a lease, it can be a partnership, it can be share, it can be contracts. There's all sorts of things, and some of them are steps in a journey. So and then on the other side, helping with budgets for the young person, helping them to get finance from the banks and whatnot, and making sure everything, and then the ongoing support and facilitation. So it's a service that needs to be subsidized. So we get fees, we get payments from the collaborators, so that both the landowners and the person coming in pay a reduced rate. But like, if we were to charge them based on time, like maybe a professional legal firm or accountancy firm would charge, you could be looking at a potential bill of somewhere between 5 and 10,000 based on all the work. And if you put that out to a farm family who are, not sure their options where to go, they'll end up just do nothing. The status quo, they'll just take a laissez-faire attitude and not do anything because the cost will put them off. But the fact that they know this, they have to pay something, but it's going to be subsidized, is a massive help to them, and it allows them to get into it. But to be subsidized, then we need funding from outside, and thankfully, that gap has been filled up to now with Department of Agriculture grant each year from the government, and the food processors have provided grants to us to keep us going. So we work as an organization as it's like a not-for-profit. Our aim, as long as we get enough money to provide the service and break even each year, and that has worked. We've been doing that now for 10 years, and it has worked. But it's an ongoing challenge, and it's great. It's great that people are happy to support us, but at the same time, each year you have to go out, and we did look from the government to sort of give us more secure long-term funding, because you just have that little bit more certainty. But I suppose with their own budget constraint and politicians being politicians, they haven't done that. But at the same time, each year they have provided us with some grant. So that's a sort of an overview of the service. It's a generation renewal aid. It's specific for farming and land, but the model, I could fully see how it could apply to any small business and things like that, where it's be it entertainment, hotels, small businesses, things like that. Because I've no doubt that what we're doing is really just, there's a farm is a business, and we're providing a matching to allow that business to continue on, and it's options for young farmers, opportunities for young farmers, and options for landowners. And I suppose we're independent and expert and there to help, and that is the focus. We're very much not a voluntary organization, like a break-even organization there to help. Okay, Mary?
Yes, lovely. I'm still having a little bit of an avalanche situation going on here, because it is so fantastic to hear you talk about this. I see we tend to identify problems, whereas you have been identifying problems and then found a solution for the problems, which is always so sort of uplifting in a sense. And I see also that you have been considering the landowners and the new entrants as people, not just as a transaction when that happening, because this is a social context that you have to take in consideration. And I was quite surprised that you thought that there would be a lack of engagement from the landowners, whereas I would say that the difficulty is in finding the new entrants and coming into the sector, and having trust in that there is someone who wants to come and do this, because the life or different kind of life expected, what are you expecting to get out of life might be a little bit different there. But my guess question for you then is that, did you do a background survey on the potential of finding new entrants to the sector before starting the business, because it was quite obvious that there was a need for it, but did you find that there was a potential that would be coming into the sector somehow?
We would have done at the start, we would have engaged with the training colleges. So there's the universities where people were doing agricultural degrees, and some of the training colleges where they're doing agricultural diplomas, and we would have asked there if there were opportunities outside, so we sort of got a feel, and it was generally positive. So that's where the perception, I suppose, came from initially, that there's loads of young people wanting to go farming. Now, would the landowners engage? Now, and we, as I've said, we have found the landowner engagement probably has been higher than expected, and it is an ongoing, it's not a challenge. There are plenty of young people, but it's getting them at the right time and helping them and fostering. So because there is so many demands and opportunities outside, Young people, if they go for an opportunity and don't get it, they can be disappointed and they go off and do something else, and next thing they could be lost from the industry. So it's keeping them on track. So that is an ongoing challenge. The landowner base, we know now that's there. That's a constant stream of landowners coming to, and the other side of it then is, will there be enough young people? And take for example this year, like there has been a slight shift in that, change environment, like some, like dairy and wood is still probably one of the primary enterprises in Ireland, and it has got a bit of a negative name in the last 12 months. Dairy nitrates, is it dirty, is it sustainable, and things like that. So young people who might have been considering a career in dairy now might say, well, maybe I don't want to do that. I'd like to work in a different sector and things like that. So you can look, but at the same time, there are still plenty of good young people, but they do need, and they need the skills. Like, it's not enough just to go and do the course in ag college. They have to go and get work experience. They have to build up their own personal skills. And a point you've made, very, it is all about the people. There's very much people skills. And obviously, if it's a share type thing, you need more people skills, but usually shares move on to lease. But even if it's a lease and it's a very sort of abstract legal agreement that I have this farm for the next 20 years, these are the terms, you still have to engage with the landowners and the people who have, I'm not saying they have to be super people skills and best buddies with but they have to have respect for them and things like that. And probably unique in Ireland, I know in other parts, I know in France and things like that, like farms are in clusters and the land is away from the house. In Ireland, we're very much 95% of the times the owners actually live on the farm. So that even makes it more, you're
close
passing
by.
by every way.
So I was actually looking at the matchmaking service there, that there's quite a lot of elements of building trust between the partners and vetting processes as well. Could you sort of explain a little bit about the vetting process and how you get to be a new entrant and being part of the arrangement as a young farmer or an entrant or maybe even second career? How do they feature into your world, sort of the people who are looking to change their lives through becoming farmers?
Yeah, and we would have some of those as well. So the vetting process, like, so the person who wants to go farming, they come and engage with us. So the first part of them is like, it's like anything. They just send us a bit of information on themselves. It's like a mini CV. We call it a profile rather than a CV. CV is more sort of career aspects. We want their overall, where they're coming from. Why is this the journey they want to be on and things like that. So, and then after that, we will check out like where they have worked. So we'll have a certain a level of understanding of that person. When we then bring him to landowners and they say they like the farm, they like the landowners, we send the landowner, we tell you, go and visit this person where they live, where they work, and see how they're operating. Don't just rely on the presentation they've given. So it is quite an exhaustive process. And we do a certain amount, but we also make sure that each party then does a certain amount of checking out on the other party, like that they're not relying on us solely. Like, we will give guidance, but it's their decision in the end of the day.
Do you then partner up with other organizations to facilitate as a part of the process, or are you basically sort of doing the entire process? How does that work? I mean,
we would partner up with the owners, and like both sides will have probably their own accountancy firm representing them, might have their own solicitors and legal firms, their own farm advisors. So we partner up with all them. That's so we make sure that like that is something we don't want to rely completely. Like, we have a lot of expertise, but we don't want anyone to rely solely on what we say. We will present a draft. This is agreement work. Bring this to your accountant and bring this to your solicitor. Make sure that you are happy with it, and the same with the other side.
Yeah.
But we have found, like, we bring it, we do the farm business plan. We agree that between all parties. So we don't want the other parties come and try to reinvent and go back to the start. We give them a sort of a model or template, because if you go to a legal firm and with sort of a blank canvas, they'll go into areas and they haven't the expertise. Where if you present it, this is the model, might need to be tweaked, but this is where we feel that will work for the
Confident.
farm. This is likely makes sense.
Yeah,
Make
that
sure
sounds
it's well
perfectly sensible. How long, I mean, it's quite comprehensive as a process. How long do you see that usually takes for, I mean, you have now a 10-year history of doing this. So how long does it take to hatch a new arrangement generally? I mean, of course, it might be how complex the arrangement tends to be, but do you have an average on sort of the hatching of a new arrangement?
I'd say, yeah, to do that, it's probably somewhere between a year and a year and a half
Yeah.
is the process.
And you will,
Some things happen quickly, you just get the right people and things move very fast. And we've others that could be 3 or 4 years in the making. So somewhere between a year and 6 months is probably the average.
you already mentioned earlier that there is a typical duration of rental periods and all of that, that they tend to be quite long agreements. But what do you see happening at the end of those agreements? I mean, there have been investments on the farm, there have been other sort of arrangements. How, do you tend to agree on in advance on, okay, this is the ownership of that side or that side, and how do you sort of manage the end of the business?
Yeah, that's the end is built into the agreement.
Yeah.
So it's very clear what happens at the end. So if it's a 15-year cycle and there's to be investment on it, will be clearly stated what investment stays in the farm, is part of the farm, what investment there might be a residual value or compensation for the farmer. Just say, for example, if it's a 15-year thing and there's investment done in year 10, the person only has 5 years to benefit. So there would be a residual calculation there, you know.
That's excellent. Thank you. It's kind of, I think, one of the things to kind of come back to again is that we are dealing with a little bit of a new arrangement area. And I mean, you have the 10 years experience on you, but there must be a lot of things that you have to sort of, as you said, you're emerging in an area that is quite culturally, has existed for a long time, and then you're creating something very new on the side of it. So all of these arrangements need to be, made legal in one way or another, and preempting problems that might come along their own way. Do you have sort of a follow-up on the longevity of these arrangements? I mean, you said earlier that you have contact with them even after an arrangement has sort of ended. So do you see that they stay within, become entrepreneurs afterwards as well after the arrangement ends, or do you see that there is a lot of dropouts? How does that work, sort of?
There hasn't been a lot of dropouts. We're there to support, so the typical arrangements to take the steps and things. So if it ends up being, I suppose the average arrangement size is probably somewhere between 10 and 15 years. That's what we're finding. So we're now probably hitting the first of the arrangements that are coming to the end of their natural cycle now. A large majority of them are actually being renewed or evolving into a new arrangement. And in many cases of those, we are now dealing with the successors, the children of the original owners.
Excellent.
So,
yeah. I don't know. You noticed that I'm getting super excited about this because I keep getting these ideas. Oh, we're going to solve this. We're going to solve that. We're going to see this happening. Okay. Do you tend to have matchmaking periods so that, okay, we'll have a trial run or an incubator period at this business before we make the formal arrangement somehow? Because, as you said, they might have to live in the same space with each other. So do we test that in advance? Is that formalized within your service that you have like, I don't know, trial run?
Yeah, in some cases, yes. In some cases, it's more difficult. To me, it's the ideal thing that there is some sort of trial and get to know each other period. But it's not always possible because sometimes, and understandably, you might have a very good young person. He's 28, 29. He's thinking of getting married in a year or two. He might not want to, or she might not want to give up 6 months or a year to try something that might not work out. Yeah. You know, so sometimes it can be difficult to do that, and other people are quite happy. You know, so it's so we have some where there is a trial period, and then, but if there ever is a trial period, there's very clear rules on the trial. It's not sort of an open-ended. Like the last thing you want is an open-ended trial, and the next thing 3 years the trial is still going on.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the relationship between the owner and the, what do you call them, entrants, maybe? Let's talk that. How do you manage the situation then when you are hatching the agreement that you are fair and equal to both parties? How do you create a true win-win? What are your tools for doing that? Is it the business plan, or how do you sort of make sure that the voices are heard equally within the process?
Yeah, it's the business plan and the budgets. And I suppose that's where we have our greatest strength, because like my own background said, I've an ag science degree, I've been involved in farm, involved in business, I'm a chartered accountant, so doing farm business plans and doing farm budgets would probably be one of my biggest strengths. So I would help. So I go and look at a farm, it's a 100-hectare farm. This is the model that can work for this farm, X amount of cows, this sort of system. These are the budgets, and if the owners are happy, yeah, I'm happy. Or some owners say I prefer not the farm to be driven that hard, or I would like it to stay in a particular enterprise, and then the budgets and all would change. So once you have a budget, then it's about dividing up the budget, and it's all there is a certain amount of negotiation and barter at that stage, but I think by having clear, transparent budgets, everyone can see what the pie is and what's to be divided up. You're not negotiating when people are keeping their cards to their chest. It's all about sharing information. So once you share information, it's very easy to say, well, that's fair, that makes sense to me, I'm happy to divide up on that.
Yeah, that sounds, because this is basically where we're looking at as well, and what are the sort of facilities and process or things we could take that is not specific to agriculture from any kind of business development as well. Looking at the tools, what are the facilitating sort of elements here? Excellent stuff. So I at least find 2 specific tools here, and I think a little bit about how do we gear that process towards happiness? How do you get everybody to feel that they are gaining something out of it except money? What are the dreams that are built into this plan? Or is it just the plan that says, okay, this is what's going to happen within the next 10 years? How can I participate and assist you?
Yeah, I suppose it's delivering. It's like in the video there, that young person there, that person really wanted the farm, and he has a farm plan now, and he's a farm. Like, you can see how enthusiastic he was about his plan. I have more reseeding to do. We're going to go up another few cows, and he has a plan. So he has his farm and career laid out, and he wants the farm. So that's probably the big difference, and that these young people come and they genuinely want the farm. Like, we would all, like in the past where everything was sort of traditional within the family, a person was nominated to be the farmer. That person mightn't have wanted the farm and they become reluctant farmers. At least all these young people now want the farm. For the owners then to see the farm, that's probably what I find is the most, what they really get out of this, to see the integrity of their farm maintained. The farm is continued to be farmed. Right, they're not farming themselves, but to have an input and a say in how the farm is being farmed, and it's not lost. It's not gone into being like going into a small part of a big, large scale operation where, they never even see the owners, they never see anyone, or they see the farmers. They see the integrity of the farm is maintained. I think that's important.
And I think
that can't work for all farms.
Yeah, of course. But I think as well that there's this interesting interface between sort of not giving up your identity, but having the ability to step back a little bit and then providing an opportunity for someone else. Is that where we're living at sort of most of the time?
Yeah, I think that's key. That's what we've always found, and that's where the sharing of information for the landowner, even though he stepped back from the farm, he knows what's going on in the farm. So when he meets his peers or his friends, be it at a football match or at a social event, he's able to say, he's able to explain to them how the farm is going, even though he's not involved in the day-to-day of it, but he knows. And so he's still a farmer in inverted commas, a form of a farmer. He still has his own identity, and he's identified with the farm.
Exactly. Do they usually tend to, these agreements include things like access to a market or client base of the previous farm? Are those part of the agreements?
They're part of the agreements, yeah.
Yeah, so that's also handled there. And do you see them quite often then emerging as independent entrepreneurs, that you actually get that the new entrant gets the space to work, or do you have a do you have a way to interfere?
There can
Pardon?
be a transition.
Yeah.
There can be a transition period.
Yeah.
So, and the help from the owners can be great in the first year or two, but by year 3 or 4, the young person is fully independent and is a farmer, you know, very much in charge and driving the direction of the farm.
Yeah, and do you have a way of sort of making that formal as well? That there is a space where the transition has to happen, or that you intervene if it doesn't happen?
We tend to intervene.
Oh, excellent. Please come. It sounds as if you need to come and visit Finland a little bit. We are running a little out of time, and I see that we need to have a generational renewal business transfer event in Finland and Ireland, and an exchange between us, because I don't think I was wrong, or the community hasn't been wrong in identifying the land mobility service as having something that is eluding us a little bit at the moment. So I very much want to thank you for this chat, and I do hope that it's just a beginning for our exchange. Whereas I see that Finland, we have quite a lot of strengths into the sort of discussion within the family and how we handle that situation, that we could have an interchange, that we have tools for that and you have tools for this, and then we can merge them and bring together something truly fantastic.
Yeah, well, thanks very much.
Yeah, it's been great. But we have to move on in our program. Thank you very much, Austin, and I'm hoping, and thank you for you taking your time on a day off. But I think that just tells everything about the farmer community commitment to work, that you're here on your day off to talk with us. But have a wonderful rest of the day, and rest during the rest of the day as well. And despite the sort of small technical difficulties, you were able to join us online. And I'm thinking there will be boatloads of Finns coming over to Ireland to have a look at you. So might you want to budget next year a few extra workers just to receive us coming over there. But thank you very much. Thank you, and have a lovely day there in Ireland. Now we're going over for a little break, and we will be coming back at 11 o'clock exactly. Thank you very much. And then we'll continue with the panel discussion here. Thank you. Welcome back. My name is Meri Remes, and I have the privilege of working with young farmers in Finland. I work for the Central Union of Agriculture Producers and Forest Owners, and for the past maybe half a year, I've had the opportunity to familiarize myself with quite a different environment for business transfers and acquisitions and all of the cultures related within the Business Transfer Week or Forum. Mm-hmm. And this is Anneli, whom you're going to get to know a little bit better today, but would you say a few words of who you are?
Yes, thanks. Also welcome on my behalf. We are now celebrating Finland's Business Transfer Week. And in this week, there will be 24 different events available for buyers, successors, sellers, business transfer experts, and decision makers, etc. Last year we looked at the public services relating to internationalization of businesses as a way towards growth and finding new markets. These recordings are to be found at the Business Transfer Forum's content library from last year, and you probably see this slide there at the moment. So last year we didn't have any perspective from private sector. So now we are focusing only private sector's perspective in this panel that you are following at the moment. So all in all, we are having we are today been looking at international dimensions of business transfers. And my name is, did I say it
Yeah.
already? My name is
all right.
Anneli Komi. I work for Federation of Finnish Enterprises. I am a manager of business transfer operations. And yeah, welcome to follow our show.
Thank you. So now we're going to have a quick overview of the opportunities and challenges practitioners face with international business transfers and acquisitions. So within the next hour or so, we have a small sampling. We realize this is not the entire world, but at least we get to have 3 very competent experiences of what's actually happening. On hands-on experiences, paving the way for international business transfers. And in order to do that, we have invited 3 experts with us into the studio. I will actually do it that way. I will introduce them one by one as they come up here and give us their take. Yeah. First, I'd like to ask Juha Lahtinen to take the floor here.
Yes, thank you.
And you're going to tell us about the small SMEs' perspectives on opportunities, challenges, and strategies for international growth and potential. Wow, that's a long
Yes.
list of achievements that we're looking to gain out of this. So you are working as a CEO for the Export Maker, and perhaps as a part of the presentation, we'll get to know quite a lot more about what it is you actually do for SMEs. But please, the floor is yours, and here's your clicker.
Yes. Thank you for your opportunity to participate this event and share our thoughts about challenges, opportunities, possibilities to grow your business through ownership changes. I'm Juha Lahtinen, and I represent the Export Maker team here today. So some background of me and Export Maker first. So I have been leading roles especially in export and export sales more than 25 years, doing sales more than 60 countries in all continents, through developed dealer networks, normally doing sales through local dealers at all continents. So, and I have an engineer background and a salesman soul, if I can say that. And some background of the Export Maker first. So we aim to help you with internationalization and export processes, and more importantly, speed up your international growth through concrete means. We serve SMEs as well as larger corporations, from international brand building to strategy, consulting and hands-on actions in international business. Our team has decades of experience in international trade, and strategic thinking runs in our veins. With our team of local experts in the target market, we can help your company reach the international market and succeed there through effective, actionable measures. On your internationalization journey, you are always served and supported locally by our local team members living and working in the market areas we work in. We have completed over 1,000 international projects and have helped companies succeed in the most challenging business environments. Our approach is global and local. Our home base is in Jyväskylä, Finland, but the greatest assets for our businesses, for your businesses, is our local team around the world, opening doors to commercial discussions. The first and most obvious reason is expanding internationally allows you to reach much larger market. Exporting can mean big profit for small businesses. If you are not exploring export market, you may missing out the world of opportunity. Small businesses and exporting world trade is increasingly important to the strength of our economy and the growth of European companies. Exporting creates jobs and provides small firms with growth, new markets, and additional profits. If you are selling your products or service in one country, you are limiting your potential at the customer base to a small fraction of the world population. By expanding into new markets, you can dramatically increase your sales and revenue. Another benefit of expanding internationally is that it can help you avoid becoming too dependent on one market. For example, if the economy in your home country takes a downturn, your business will likely suffer as a result. A business doesn't have to be big to sell in global marketplace. Experience shows that small businesses can and do export successfully. Finding your niche in the world market is similar to finding it in the local market. One of the challenges of the international expansion is understand the peculiarities of the new markets, such as demographic characteristics, consumption habits, laws and regulations, and so on. To overcome this challenge, companies can conduct international market search. It is necessary to review and critically evaluate the demand for the product or service and the factors related to given destination. And to face one of the challenges of international expansion, which is staff acquisition, one of the options is to hire international consultants who really knows the market area. You can hire them for a period or per project. Moving into new area, complicated matters and legal matters are one of the biggest challenges in the international expansion. There will be certain indifferences in laws and regulations. Besides the unfamiliarity with the local market condition, the recruitment of the most qualified personnel and the best dealers with the compliance with regulations, language and cultural barriers are part of the challenges of international acquisition. Local staff or dealer at the new market may not share the same language, which results of communication and organizational problems would limit the global growth of the business. You can also think about the cultural sensitivity. What may be a normal practice or a joke in your country may not be that in another country or another person. This is why it's so important to have a people on the ground with a good understanding of cultural issues. It will help avoid problems of communication and allow you to connect better with the clients. And there's of course the different time zones. If we have a midday here in Finland, it can be 3 a.m. in LA or 8 p.m. in Sydney, Australia. And most common way for the enter local markets is to put your sales manager on the work and he will find the dealers or not. But another option is to find and purchase a competitor or company near your company's field from targeted market, and some word about how we can help your companies with that. So it starts when you're looking for the company to invest or buy, and we can analyze potential target companies. And before acquisition, what we can do, investment and partner search from the chosen market segments. And normally we do that with the long list execution with the partners criteria given by the company who is looking for business abroad. And then shortlist execution. And we can do a market sector competition review. And when we have listed, we can do analyzing, profiling, we can do export and growth readiness audit, and that's good tool for understanding the possibilities of the scalability of the business which you are looking for to buy. Some cases here, we did in Sweden, 26 long-listed companies, 5 shortlisted, but later on we did not. There was no result of buying a company. And case Netherlands, almost 1,000 long-listed company, second long list 100, and shortlist 34, which is ongoing phase right now where we are looking for those companies. So thank you a lot that I could be here. So, and then it's for the next one to step in.
Thank you. as you said, a result is a result, even if it doesn't always mean that you end up with a business transaction.
Yes, thank you, Juha. That was interesting. We'll get back to your presentations later, but Kimmo, would you like to say a few words about Juha's presentation?
Well, I think it was an excellent presentation. I completely agree with your opinion. I have experienced that the Finnish companies want to go to the international market without doing these phases before they go there. And that's the mistake, to be honest. And very important has the professional support for this kind of expanding the business to other countries, and there are cultural differences and many other things. But we in Finland we are exporting country, so we have some experience to a certain extent in any case, but still we would like to have more advices before we go. And one particular subject I want to raise here, because you mentioned the Netherlands. Normally we always think about the Sweden, but I must say that the Netherlands is one of the model country to having export and import functions in companies. So that's maybe the short comment.
Yeah, that's very good short comment. Thank you. Back to you, Meri.
I think it's quite obvious that we're talking about the legal framework here. But that's why I would actually like to invite Kimmo over here to talk about the sort of legal perspective, opportunities, challenges and surprises for SMEs acquisitions. And it might not come as a surprise for you that we have an attorney at law here stepping up to the scene. Please, here is a clicker for you, so you can make a change for your representation. So you see visible there and there as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity to be here to give the speech regarding the opportunities, challenges, surprises in the SME acquisitions negotiation in Finland. This is a very short period, so I'm not giving the lecture about the Finnish legislation or the legislation in the other countries either. But my approach is that I want to think about what the foreigner think if he want to acquire a Finnish company, and that's I'm going to tell you some hints for that. First, something about our company. I'm working for the Lexia Attorneys, who is the SME itself. We have about 70 employees, and our office is in Helsinki, in Turku, in Tampere, in Oulu, in Finland. And we belongs to the Meritas and Telfa international lawyers networks, which are operating well. And so we can serve the Finnish companies abroad and also having the local advisors if we have the foreign clients. And I'm a lawyer, but I have also the technical background, so I'm graduated from the Helsinki University of Technology a long time ago. But after that, I have been in the law firms about 20 years as a managing partner or the chairman, and so mainly doing the M&A business and also the patenting and IPR issues. But then, when you come to Finland, the foreign companies normally think that Finland is a part of the Western world, so it's quite easy to come. Okay, there are some shock when you come. The language is completely different, and other things may come. You may face with some surprises, but there are also good opportunities. And the view, the angle is from foreigners, but also the Finnish entrepreneurs. It's very important to understand what the foreigners are expecting and what they are not expecting to have in Finland. And these opportunities, which is a little bit not so good for Finnish companies, but to be honest, the price level, the last one topic on the slide, the price level is compared to quality of the Finnish SMEs is lower. So it is also, often beneficial to acquire the Finnish company. The profit level after acquisition, it's better than earlier. And negotiations are quite different than the other countries because Finns are very practical and flexible. There is no need for formalities. Maybe it's good to have the suit, but in any case, you may even need to go to sauna. But I think that you must take into consideration that the technical level in Finnish companies it's very high, and also we have one of the most well-educated persons in the world. So we have very high quality SMEs. But there are challenges. It's not the one case when I have heard this that when someone comes to Finland and start negotiate, and suddenly there is silence. No one say anything. And the foreign feel that, did I say something? Are they heard something? Or what happens? I say maybe something wrong, I apologize, but long silent period doesn't mean that. Because the Finnish people, the Finns, they want to have time to think. So one hint is that don't overmarket. Let the Finn draw a conclusion by himself. When he is silent or he is silent, she normally thinks. And that's one thing. Another thing is that we have so-called common sense called fairness. And if you want to win 6-0, you are in the trouble. Because the people are normally looking for some kind of compromise. So it means that if you put the target or your terms and conditions on the right side, the Finns do that on the left side. So it's quite typical that people are waiting for or expect that you are looking for the result somewhere between. And one thing is that never lie. Otherwise it can be over if you lose the trust. In Finland we say that you can lose the trust only once. And that's the final one. And then surprises. Tax rate, income tax rate, is really very high in Finland. It's maybe comparable to Sweden and Denmark, but still people coming from the other countries, they don't understand. And this is especially for the managers and specialists, the highly educated people. It can be even 60, which is a lot. So also the companies are using options rights and foreign incentives, and granting or exercising options rights are taxed also differently. They are mainly taxed under income taxation, which means that tax rate is high. In other countries, they are included to the capital gains. Then one funny thing is that in Finland, when you think about the salary level, which you normally know that it's high, it's the highest in July when the people are out of the office. So when people are not at the office, you will pay most. That's something, for example, the Americans cannot understand. It's quite typical in the other countries that there are results-based 13th month salary in the end of the year, but it's not so common in Finland. We have the bonus salaries, but they are normally paid during the year. And then surprise number 3. In Finland, there are generally binding collective agreement systems, which means that some associations may make agreement over year, and salary level in your company can be increased, even though your company is not at the negotiation table or even a member of such association. It just happens. And I have some experiences when, for example, the US company acquired the Finnish company, and then increased the salary level, which was very high, the US salary level, and 1 month later it became the automatical increase of the salaries. So it means that the new increase over these already increased salaries, and it was really a surprise. It was not so easy, not so nice to explain that phenomenon to them. But that's maybe the main hints in this short presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can take the seat again. I will leave the floor free here.
Yeah, thanks also from my behalf. That was very, very good presentation, and I'm looking forward when we get back to this discussion and we can hear more your thoughts. But before that, Mikko, let's hear your comments on Kimmo's presentation.
Thank you. Happy to give some comments, and thank you, Kimmo, for the great presentation. I mean, I have a lot of takeaways, not only on the legal side, but this cultural side. Just thinking this silence and consensus-driven negotiation. I mean, you could actually do a lot of stuff with that silence, that's staring at people and not saying a word. I did have some specific questions also. So I'll maybe just start with the one. So you're working with these transactions where you have, let's say, a foreign buyer buying an SME in this country. And these SMEs, let's say that they're very entrepreneurial driven. The entrepreneurs are there on the operational role running the businesses. So can you tell us a bit about what is the kind of role of these entrepreneurs post-acquisition? What do they end up doing after the deal has done? Do they stay with the company, or are there some typical ways of structuring this?
Yeah. We'll allow an answer to the question, but we will remain in the discussion a little bit later on. Okay? Kimmo can answer this one.
Yeah, certainly no one will buy the company in situation where the managers and the founders go out. So it's quite typical that they are committed, or they must be committed at least for the period of 2 years, maybe 3 or 5 years. And there are also quite typically some related incentive programs which makes them eager to stay. Yeah. So that's shortly. Maybe we can discuss it later more.
Yes. Yeah. We have time for discussion later. Yes.
And I think this alludes really well to the presentation that you're going to give us, Mikko, there. That was a really good bridge over there. We're looking at kind of stretching our definitions. If you look at how does entrepreneurship through acquisition enable SME business transfers, and talk about that, we have partner from True North Search, Mikko Järvinen, coming up to the stage to give us a presentation. Please, the floor is yours. Yeah, I'll make some space.
Excellent, thank you. Let me figure out the clicker. Okay, here we are. Okay. Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Great to be here. And what I'm here sharing a bit of some of the views of, let's say, a bit of an alternative approach to business successions called the entrepreneurship through acquisition, which we have been working with in True North Search for the past 4 or 5 years. And in the picture, you can actually see me, my founding partner, and the star, Jussi Niemelä. So Jussi is one of our 10 searchers, entrepreneurs, operators in residence, who have been searching for business to buy and are continuing doing that across Northern Europe. Okay, I'll just cover this super quickly. So the background of the, or the kind of like large frame for the opportunity for entrepreneurship through acquisition is here. And I think this week, this doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. So in the Western countries, a bit in other countries also, we have the aging population. And to my understanding, one of the segments or demographics that is aging faster than the rest of the population is our entrepreneurs. And we also know that many of our entrepreneurs don't have succession plans in place. I think in Seinäjoki has been doing a research where they also see a bit of a preference towards getting a third-party buyer or third-party successor not necessarily passing these companies forward in the family. So this is probably the large opportunity for the entrepreneurship through acquisition. Maybe more specifically, what the model is very well geared towards is these lower middle market M&A deals, where the enterprise value of the company is somewhere between 2 to 25 million. So companies that are maybe not something that just anyone can buy with their personal savings, but on the other hand, companies in a size bracket that are maybe not that interesting for, let's say, traditional buyout funds and such entities. So there is an opportunity in this space. And we want to believe that there is a model that is well aligned with this opportunity. So just briefly about what entrepreneurship through acquisition is. So I guess many of our listeners are familiar with management buy-in. So it's very similar to a management buy-in approach, but with few key differences. So firstly, the talent, jockey or searcher, the aspiring entrepreneur who actually wants to go find a company and acquire one, he's taking the leading role with this one. So he's in charge of searching for an interesting company, negotiating the transaction, taking the role of successor CEO after the deal has been consummated, and operating the company from there forward. The other key factor for this model is that the searcher or the entrepreneur succeeding taking over the company is not expected to bring in majority of the capital needed for that acquisition. For that purpose, there are third-party investors participating in these transactions. So that is maybe a bit of a new flavor for the approach here. Maybe just a bit of the background of this model. So I want to emphasize that entrepreneurship through acquisition isn't something that True North Search or me or my business partner has come up with. It is something of an existing phenomena that has been around for over 4 decades now. So where the model actually originated is the MBA Ivy schools, where a gentleman from Stanford University, Irv Krausbeck, was actually developing the model in the mid-80s. And the initial idea was to offer a career path for a freshly graduated MBA that doesn't involve corporates and doesn't involve consulting, doesn't involve investment banking, but actually taking the entrepreneurial role through acquiring a business. In 90s, we started seeing first of these deals happening also in Europe with this specific model. Simon Webster making his deal in UK. And then in 2000s, we've seen a lot of new type of alternative models of this traditional ETA approach, and also some funds that are operating in this space. And if we go to 2010s, even 2020s, we are now seeing over 100 plus traditional search funds, the most traditional form of the ETA deal happening every year. And it seems to be that the model is taking up, growing internationally, and moving forward with quite a nice pace in different countries. And just maybe one map. We have Stanford and IESC, which are quite actively following the ETA model and its uptake all across the world. And here on the map, this is coming actually from the IESC material from the Spanish Business School, where you can see the transactions with this model that they have been following. And as you can see, you have quite a lot of activity happening, especially in the Spanish-speaking countries, Brazil also, which is maybe one of the reasons is the very active role that some of the Spanish-speaking business schools have been taking with this one. But what you can also see is the Northern Europe being a bit of a blank spot, especially Nordic countries and Scandinavia, where the model hasn't really picked up yet. And hence, this is actually one of the focus of True North Search, focusing on the Northern Europe, especially the Nordic countries, and taking forward the model there. And finally, there are many parties with this ETA model. So you have the entrepreneurs maybe stepping away from their companies, selling their companies to the successor. You have also the successors who are getting into entrepreneurship, not through the startup path, but by actually acquiring an existing business. And then you, of course, have the investors associated with this model. So I want to maybe bring up the perspective of the successor entrepreneur. And if we have anyone in the stream thinking that if this would be an opportunity for me to actually make the career shift from, let's say, corporate to entrepreneurship, not through a startup, but through an acquisition, here are some of ideas that emerging from the community, what might be the kind of qualities that would be beneficial for individuals taking this path. So firstly, what is quite key is that you need to have the desire to take an entrepreneurial path to running a company. So typically the individuals that we are working with are looking for autonomy, being in a position where they actually can make the decisions that matter in taking forward these companies. And of course, the financial upside is there. So that is something that drives some of our, or most of our searchers. And you have also some personal characteristics, attention to detail, perseverance, probably driver for entrepreneurial success everywhere. But then some more maybe peculiar qualities, humble, driven, being smart about making your choices. So few things to contemplate if you are thinking of taking this entrepreneurship through acquisition route. And if this is something of interest to you, I welcome you to visit our website, True North Search. So there is more information available there. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was also very good presentation. And Juha, let's have your comments on Mikko's presentation, shall we?
Yeah. First, I have to say that they might not seen on the live that there was some technical issues, so you ducked the issues very nicely. So
We are practicing.
yes, yeah. But what I would like to hear later on more is also the cultural things and problems arising when you are matching to new owner and the company, and hear about the stories behind that, if there is a success story or total disasters or some comments about that. So that's, yeah. But the model, it's a really nice model, and thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. Happy to speak more of those. So as you can imagine, it is very personal relationship and very personal situation when passing over the company to a successor.
Can I ask a question now?
Yes,
my
let's
turn.
go to
okay, let's go to
this
the
part.
discussion. Yes, we referred to the brackets earlier, 2 million to 25 million or something like that. Can all of you identify brackets for what other type of companies can participate in internationalization, whether that is then coming to Finland or going abroad?
Let's start by you.
Yeah, you gave us a bracket, but you want to sort of expand on that.
Yeah, I guess our bracket comes more from the sheer volume of interesting opportunities, and maybe looking at companies where you actually are getting into, let's say getting into a company which actually has an organization. So if you go to the smaller ones, you get quite maybe a large scheme and risk also, and the kind of a transition of taking over the business might become a bit more trickier in our case. And also if going to the higher than 25 million, you start to see quite efficient market already, and a smaller amount of companies that would be matching the criteria.
So maybe at least 5 employees?
Yeah, I mean, we're preferring 10 or more typically, so.
Yeah. And then up to a specific size again, that it doesn't become too big, has another difference, an interested market there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was very good clarification. Let's go through the rounds. Please tell us more, Kimmo, about your bracket. What do you see as being realistic in contacting your office?
Yeah, but I think that if you want to export something from Finland to abroad, it can be only one-man company also, but maybe the annual turnover is normally at the minimum of 1 million euro. But if you want to establish the subsidiary or having the marketing office or having the stable reseller or agency relationship to another country, it's normally, I think, that about a 5 million annual turnover at the minimum. And then if you want to really acquire the company, normally the maximum is you acquire the company which is at the same size than you are. So it means that it's not worth buying a very small company because it doesn't help in that market. It has enough. It has not enough market share there. So you need to have some kind of another methods to reach that target market before that. But okay, if you are the big, you can do whatever you want. But maybe that's the reason why most of our exporting companies are huge. But we are a little bit shortage of the smaller companies, and it's not only the size of the company; it's also in which industry sector they are operating.
Yeah, capabilities maybe within there as well. Let's continue to the last one. Juha, what do you see as your bracket? Where are we moving? What's the size of companies that you're discussing?
Actually, we are discussing with all sizes of the companies. So from the startups to larger corporations. And the issues are different. What they are looking for. Many times the startup is just having the idea go globally, and we start with that, and then we think about what homeworks they should do first. And if we think about bigger companies, bigger SMEs, mid-sized company or larger corporation, then they know what they are looking for, what kind of information they want to have from the markets that they want to go. So the issues are different, but the experience what we have on the team and the market, so we can help SME startups and also the larger corporation. I do agree with Kimmo what he said about the sizes, what kind of turnover you need to have when you go. But sometimes startup doesn't have any turnover here in Finland or in Denmark or in Lithuania, and they can grow and they can go directly to global market.
It's really good to hear, since almost, well, not all, but almost all of our companies are small. So it's good to hear that you have services for them, for the smaller one as well. I have a question for all of you. When we speak about business transfer cases here in Finland, we often get this challenge that we don't have enough buyers in Finland. Do you see that this could be one of the ways that Finnish companies could find more buyers if they are looking them from abroad, and probably use some experts to that? Kimmo, let's start with you.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And actually, it's very important to search them from abroad also, because our population is aging and there are less and less young entrepreneurs. But the problem is we have some new companies in the IT sector and technology sector, but not in the heavy metal or process industry. We don't have those so much. The same, we have new companies in the Helsinki area and some other growing cities. But if you want to have the entrepreneurs to Lapland or the east part of the Finland or the rural areas, it's not easy to find.
You mean the industry is wrong?
Yeah.
Buyers from abroad, they're not interested.
It's not so sexy today to have for example metal industry company. But as we know from the some parts of the Finland, we have many small metal industry companies which has been very successful.
Yeah.
Have grew lots, but if you want to buy those, they are quite valuable today. And maybe it's not only the shortage of entrepreneurs, it's also the problem with money.
Yeah.
because we don't have enough rich people, to be honest.
Yeah.
So the money is coming from the government or for the huge banks. So we don't have so many entrepreneurs who has earned a lot of money who can put the money circulate. Compare, for example, the United States or some other countries, it's quite typical that then when you exit your company, you put all money to next one. So that's not so typical in Finland, and maybe the culture is we want to save money. You don't take that all risks because all money is borrowed.
Yes.
So that's maybe another story, but that's something which limits the number of domestic
That's
purchases.
true. Thank you. Same question, Mikko, would you like to answer? Is it something that is this the message to Finnish companies that they should start searching buyers also from abroad?
Yeah,
How do you see?
It's an interesting question coming from the ETA lens. Firstly, I just want to quickly address the capital thing. I think it's compared to many other markets. I mean, we're high on debt, low on equity, which is completely different. Let's say US. So, but this kind of aspect of international buyers. So with the ETA model, entrepreneurship through acquisition, you have the searcher taking over the CEO role, and of course it then becomes a question of culture and kind of like how is the match between the culture and the manager stepping in. Traditionally, in the US, individuals are searching for the whole North America, and it doesn't really matter if you go to Canada or if you find in US. I mean, you can make that work. In Europe, it's a bit different with the ETA model. So I mean, I couldn't see myself performing, let's say, in South Italian manufacturing company as a manager. Probably not the ideal match for me, or vice versa.
Don't say.
What we've seen with the ETA model, because there are exceptions. So, for example, in software, you might have English as a working language, and the culture is pretty much same on every single large city where you have software companies. So we've seen quite successful European-wide searches on software, but maybe not that many in, let's say, traditional businesses like manufacturing or services.
It actually comes back to my sort of next question. If you're looking at the demographic within Europe. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I'm keen to
absolutely.
hear his answer as well.
Yeah.
Same. Do you remember the questions?
Yes, I do remember. So if you want to make money in the day one in the export market, if you're coming to Finland or vice versa, you're going from Finland to other countries, so only option to earn money is to buy that company what exists already in that market. So all the other ways, they take time. They can take a lot of time. It can be, normally we can say that it is 1 to 3 years what we have to put money in for the new market before we can get any money coming back. So if you want to earn money in that market, so buy a company who is already there, and you can sell you goods through that company, also that market, for example in Finland.
So your recommendation is that yes, let's
it's
search
the fastest.
buyers from abroad. Yeah, okay, thank you, Mary. Now is your time for your
Apologies,
question.
that was really bad. There is a lot of questions here about culture, about exit, and all of that. But at the same time, if you're looking at the demographic within the EU area, they have the aging population question doesn't just involve Finland. So then maybe having that alludes to a lot of questions. But the ETA model itself, you said that it's been a slow on uptake within the Nordic countries. Don't you think that's a little bit odd?
Yes.
When it comes to the whole debt versus being able to take risks and entry into the business, and then having a little bit maybe of a shared culture, are we looking at we need input from somewhere else? Is the demographic too old already? What's the issue that you have identified for that happening?
Yeah, look, I mean, it is kind of like a niche model. So the number of transaction in total with the model is somewhere around hundreds globally. So it's not that kind of like, how would I say, well established or kind of like a typical thing to do. So that might be one explanation. But something maybe more crucial is that how you see the model kind of evolving and going up to other markets. You've always seen some kind of catalyst in the market, typically a local business school, which is kind of like taking this off. We're a bit envious to a lot of the English-speaking countries where you have this tradition of MBA, where you have a natural kind of let's say transition to your career during your career when you're looking for something else. And we don't have maybe that similar kind of a role with the business schools. So business schools haven't been really kind of like catalyst for this model. So you probably need someone more entrepreneurial, setting up entities like True North Search to actually evangelize the model and take it forward.
Definitely.
Okay. Do you want to comment on that? No?
Well, I think that I try to remember the survey, which was about 5 years ago. And I remember the end result was that in Espoo area, which is the second largest city in Finland, more than half of the new companies was founded by the foreigners. So, and they are mainly coming from Asia, if I remember correctly.
Third countries, yeah.
Yeah, not from Europe, but from Asia.
Okay.
Or all the other countries outside of the Europe. So maybe we have that aging problem through the whole Europe.
But you said that they are funding companies, not buying them.
Yeah.
Is there something within the facilitation of immigrants or incomers or that we need to do better in order to enable a transition or acquisitions within the Finnish sort of general renewal or business transfer environment?
Yeah, maybe they are the reason is that people who has come to Finland has the traditional culture in their home countries where the companies are small. They are family businesses. So if you want to have the bigger company, maybe you don't come to Finland and start from zero. But I know that there are a couple of rapidly growing cafes and restaurant chains which are owned by the foreigners, and I think it's a good thing. I mean.
Yeah, and we have heard those stories where someone from abroad is very anxious of buying some certain company in Finland actually, and they are going after that years and years and then finally get it. But Kimmo, I would like to ask you, you said that the prices of Finnish companies are quite low. When you have, did you say that? Is it that you were comparing it to? Yeah,
compared to the level of the profit level of the companies, so they are lower. The multiplier are lower than in, for example, in the US market. So it means that I don't know why, but because the expectations normally are normal and they are comparable to other countries, but it's not only the small and medium-sized companies, it's also the big companies and also the real estate funds when they buy the big supermarket buildings here. The interest, the rent rate is about 1% higher than for them in Finland than in, for example, in Amsterdam or Paris or other things. So it means that the price is lower normally, and it's a little bit pity. To be honest, I have said also in public couple of times in newspapers that the entrepreneurs should ask more, because it's quite typical in the other countries, but maybe that's our culture that people are satisfied with the price, which you can buy the house without debt, and that's all.
That's all.
And then I see in my profession that after 2 or 3 years, for example, the Americans sell it again with multiplier 2 or 3, or so. It means that if you sell 10 million, you can earn 20 million more if you continue a couple of years.
Okay, that was a kind of a sales speech to all our viewers from abroad.
We should have these new entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and I was thinking this
The
way.
Finnish market is very stable, which is very important for the investors and entrepreneurs. One of the most
That's
stable
good to
in the
hear.
market.
And maybe we also need a little bit more of services there. If you're alluding to us being the negotiators, we talked a little bit about the culture difference. We'll start staring more at people.
And stay silent for like months. But before we run out our time, I would like to hear, and before we go to don'ts and do's, I would like to hear your experiences. Tell us something from your day-to-day life, what you are working on right now. Juha, let's start by you.
Yeah, a lot of different things every day. So, yeah, what I do, I help companies to find what is the right strategy for the company, where to go, and like that. And what our team does, it's that the knowledge of the local market. So I'm not sharing that. So we always do when we help the companies. So it's the local people who do the major of the tasks. So we try to give the companies in the right path. So, and sometimes advice not. It can be that the board has decided that we are going to Sweden, we are going to Germany, but they don't have any knowledge about the market. So I advise them to think about a little bit more, maybe doing a market survey, like light market surveys of many countries, and then after that make the decision if that country is the right country to go. So that kind of issues.
Okay, thanks.
Day to day.
Today, how's your day to day?
Well, I have normally
Basis of work.
long days selling and buying companies for the clients, and trying to find funding and also trying to find these kind of advisors in order to support the business, which is the base for the mergers and acquisitions in any case. And normally I think that there is no limitation what kind of questions can be posed to me. So if I can't answer, we try to find the advisors, and all countries are available during these decades I have been doing this, and mainly maybe in the US or in the European countries, but also very exotic countries in some cases. One of the newest one is one market in Africa, and also in some other things. But that's maybe my daily advising.
Thanks. Mikko?
Sure. Maybe just briefly, we just started off with 3 new searchers, 3 new individuals looking to find a company. We provide them a training program. Those guys are located here in Finland, so if someone is looking to sell their business in the next 12 months, these 3 individuals would be interested on talking with you. These 3 are locally here in Finland.
Okay.
And later this afternoon there's a chat with our Dutch searcher who has found an interesting company to buy, and we're looking to see if that moves forward. And some investor discussions also lined up.
Okay.
You're quite in an interesting environment where you're creating something new all the time, but also functioning as an interpreter between different cultures, and particularly then, of course, the Finnish culture. But you're also ambassadors, all of you, for the Finnish sort of business environment. That's pretty cool.
Yes. I can see our time is about to run. What do you suggest? Shall we do the final?
The top tips,
Yes. You go.
Oh, I go first. Okay. Let's do the do's and don'ts of coming to the Finnish market. All of you gets to do a do and a don't.
One each.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who is watching right now and is from abroad and thinking of buying a company in Finland?
Yeah, or a part of it.
Or a part of it. Don'ts and do's for them. Who wants to start?
Okay, if I start, ask something about the technology of the Finnish company. They are very proud of explaining that. But don't ever lie, because that's the complete stop about the process. and you don't have another chance anymore.
Excellent do's and don'ts.
Yes,
Build
very
pride, lift up,
controversial.
but don't lie. That was pretty good. Mikko?
Yeah, maybe one observation is that reserve time, because these individuals are willing to talk with you a lot about their companies. They take a lot of pride on that and want to share a lot of interesting details on those companies.
And the don't take time.
That's probably, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I would say come to Finland. Visit in Finland, learn to Finland. Come here and eat some Karjalan piirakka and Karjalan paisti or something like that. Come here and feel the country first where you're entering. So it's same vice versa if you want to go abroad. So go that market, visit there, learn a bit yourself, not just all the figures and like that. So then you will know the environment where you are coming to. And I would also say don't lie. So that's in Finland we trust a lot. We trust that other people also tell the truth. So, and that's the first thing. We trust you when you are coming here. But if you find that you are lying, so you never get the trust back. So
Okay.
So.
Well, very well. And then same question, but for those viewers who are thinking of buying a company abroad, who are Finnish company owners. What
Do's
do
and
they,
don'ts.
Yes. You can
So
use
we
the
start
same
maybe
ones.
here.
yeah, I would say
Good.
yeah, the same thing. Vice
Same.
versa. Go to France. Go to France.
Learn
Find the
from
France.
the
Yeah.
In
yeah,
November,
also-
in November, that should be a fairly easy sell.
Yes, and I would say do not trust everything.
Thank you.
Well, I encourage to all entrepreneurs to go abroad, so it's very important. But maybe select the market or the market area or the company with whom you want to cooperate. It's very important.
Okay, thanks. What about Mikko?
Yeah, just maybe briefly, I mean, just consider the idea of expanding through an acquisition, because I mean, I think you brought it up pretty well, Juha, that it's the only way where you can actually make money on day one. So market entries on other means take time and can be even easily more expensive. So definitely a value proposition for Finnish companies that might be a bit overlooked at the moment.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you to all of our panelists.
Thank you.
It's
Thanks
been
for your
fantastic to have you here and learn more about actually the concrete questions quite a lot. And I'm hoping that this will encourage a lot of people to take on the adventure of looking at alternatives. Or I know time is of a limited factor for all of us, but still that there is a place where you're creating something new within existing businesses, and that way finding ways of growing either in Finland or abroad.
It's been really our pleasure to have you guys all here. Thank you very much for giving us your time, and let's be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. But our program continues today, and there will be a seminar about international business transfers. It starts 1 o'clock, and it is held by the largest business broker in Finland, Suomen Yrityskaupat.
That's all for us today, except for an excellent evening that you're going to have and getting the next event.
Yeah, this was our first day in our business transfer week this year, international dimensions of business transfers. And all of these, including this broadcast, you can find later on our YouTube channel. This was first of 24 events that are available in this week. So let's get to them from now. Thank you for watching us.
Thank you.
Bye.